What's up, guys? The Farooqi Bros here, back with another podcast. And today we'll be talking about a bunch of films and TV series, some that we missed just being on break for a little bit. But let's just get right into it. And I'm going to discuss the newest movie kind of hitting Memorial Day weekend, and that's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This is the last movie of the Mission Impossible series as of now. Coming into it, Mission Impossible, I mean, this is a series that everyone knows, like it's synonymous with Tom Cruise. It's synonymous with that old school Hollywood. And it's almost had 3 decades of time in the sun. And when you go into this movie, you'll be happy to know that you're going to get all the thrills, all the things that people love about a Mission Impossible movie are all present here, including incredible stunt sequences, which, you have to always tip your hat off at Tom Cruise. Like, I feel like this guy, some people will literally die for the game, and he's one of those people, does it for the love of the game, I think, at this point. There's not many awards coming out of it, but he's still going to do it. And for what it's worth outside the film, because of Mission Impossible, starting next year, the Oscars are actually going to officially nominate Best Stunt Work. So I think part of it has to do with kind of what this film brought to the table. So it's definitely a love letter to the series. Amazing set pieces, brilliant stunt work. There's some really, really great sequences that just make your jaw drop. Like, that's how good it is. From a plot perspective, I'm not going to get into anything really because it's just a non-spoiler review. I do feel this is the most self-aware and maybe self-indulgent Mission Impossible yet, which can bloat the plot a bit. But I still think it's a must-see, especially in IMAX. My only recommendation to people who are going to this movie is try to watch the entire series, and if you haven't, do some YouTube clips or something, because this film is not going to hold your hand. It really expects you to understand and know the series very well. So it's almost like Avengers Endgame. Like, you want to just know, you have to know everything going into it, So they don't hold your hand, so just go into it. But if you're here for stunt work, even if you don't know Mission Impossible, still see the movie just for some of the incredible sequences that come here. As you know, every single film has that one key sequence. I'm not going to spoil the one that's in this film. This one has its own one key sequence. And you're going to be surprised. I think next week when we do a full spoiler talk, we can get into kind of what we thought about it and how it ranks among the Mission Impossible series. But that's my quick review. I'm still teetering between 4 and 3.5. At the moment, I'm giving it 4. Just for giving it that respect. I feel from a plot perspective, it might be more 3.5, but overall, I'm thinking 4. That's my review, and next week we'll get a full spoiler talk with the whole Farooqi Bros, and we'll kind of get into it in full detail. So from there, I want to move from a film to prestige TV, because Andor season 2 just wrapped up a couple of days back, and this is kind of the latest Star Wars film, but not Star Wars film, the latest Star Wars project on Disney Plus. It's quite different from other Disney shows, and it's quite different from its approach. As we know, season 1 was critically acclaimed and also nominated for multiple Emmys. So we're going into season 2 now. So Zian, I'm going to throw the baton to you to start us off. What did you think about Andor season 2? You might have frozen. So I'll just. Did you hear what I'm saying? Hello. We might have lost Zian in the mix. So, wait, Samir, can you hear me? All right, so I'll do my review of Andor season 2 first. Then,
yeah. Sorry,
okay.
What are you saying now?
I was saying Andor season 2. Like, what's your review for it?
Yeah, so I think all the reception is getting, critical wise, fan wise. I think it all rings true. This really is kind of like the top echelon of Star Wars content that you can get, especially when you consider kind of the content we've been getting recently, whether it's some of the episodes of Mandalorian or even some of Ahsoka or Book of Boba Fett, which is just terrible, terrible show. And then Acolyte, we saw the reception on that end as well. So this is just complete breath of fresh air in terms of Star Wars content and even Disney Plus content, in the sense that where you actually feel that they cared and put quality into their writing, into the stories, and it wasn't about fan service or name dropping or cameo appearances. It was just about these characters and the story, and kind of building that feeling with the audience, that connection with the audience, that you sympathize and empathize with the struggle that they're going through in the face of oppression and against other trials. So I think everybody was involved. Tony Gilroy, the studio, the cast, everybody did a terrific job kind of putting this whole thing together and creating something that stands kind of unique from other Star Wars where honestly, even if you removed the Star Wars aspects of it, it would still be a great show, and I think that's what kind of sets it apart, especially from start to finish. I think season two, the first episode was a little slow, but I think as it went on, it only got better and better, and then that 5 stretch of where it's like above 9.5 or 9 rated episodes, they're right. It's like it really is just a terrific stretch that kind of ends it and then leads into what Rogue One does and happens in Rogue One. So I think it was just a terrific show from start to finish, and you hope that maybe this is going to be a turning point where also side projects that might come up in Star Wars will have this level of quality. But I don't know. I hope so, but it'll be rare to see.
Yeah, for me, Andor is literally 5 out of 5 Star Wars. It's like some of the best that Disney. It's the best that Disney's ever done with this IP. It's pretty much a masterpiece to me from start to finish. A brilliant writing, brilliant cinematography, amazing performances, and a great vision from Tony Gilroy, like you said. And if you look at Gilroy's resume, I mean, he did the Bourne movies, and he did a Nightcrawler and things like that. But he's actually never touched the Star Wars universe before, and actually he's publicly said that he didn't watch any Star Wars walking into this series. He didn't make it for the fans, which is not what Dave Filoni. They're all trying to do things where it's very like heavy nostalgia pandering. This show almost like to a benefit avoids fan service. Like it just doesn't want to do it. And if you do see an old character from any series or any other movie, it's going to be purely to service the plot, but it's not to do anything else. And there's times where people are like, well, why is the Emperor in the show? Even I had the same gripe. I was like, oh, cool, the Emperor is there, or another character. But even the writers and the directors have said themselves that, if there was no need, if we wanted them, we put them in, but we didn't want them. So this telling a very specific story. There's themes of occupation and imperialism and genocide and fascism. They're all handled very well. And what's heartbreaking is we're probably not going to get another piece of Star Wars like this. Like, just not the case. We're going to go back to Ahsoka season 2 and, more Acolyte maybe. And I'm like that style, maybe not more. We're going to get more that style of content, And it's like, that's not what I want from Star Wars anymore, especially as I'm getting older. I want more quality stuff. Like, I'm not sure one shot. This is one of the best shots for me of the series from the last episode. Like this shot of Luthen coming down. Like, this is the kind of film you're going to get. You're going to get just slop of Ahsoka, hitting her 2 lightsabers in very bad choreography. That's all we're going to get now. And that's depressing, It's depressing. Kind of come from such a high to go to such lows that we're probably coming in. But I hope that they learn the lessons that they're supposed to learn and kind of trust the vision of different filmmakers and different creatives and carve their niche in this franchise. But I have a bad feeling they're not going to learn that lesson and they're just going to go back to the old ways. But I don't know. Samir, you're not done with the series yet, but what's your general thoughts just thinking about Andor in general from what you've seen compared to the other stuff that Star Wars is doing, particularly on the streaming side?
I mean, I was a pretty big fan of Rogue One, so I'm glad that they kind of went back into that part of the universe. I think they should. I think they strive creatively when they don't try to force too much of that, staying close to the Skywalker saga aspect of it. Specifically the Jedi characters. I feel like Star Wars is such a big universe that they could do so much with it with so many different characters. I think as far as the Disney Plus shows go, there are still tons that are pretty I guess not as creatively headed. They're mostly just about just trying to make some money, trying to get some cash grab, but I feel like they should move in a direction where they should see the success of these shows like this and move towards making more stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I mean, just get back to the basics of filmmaking, get back to the fundamentals of it. Like when you do fundamental storytelling, you're gonna get good products at the other end of it. But when you go in if you're going in to get TikTok views and you're going in for social media hype and just get viral on Twitter once in a while, then you're gonna make bad products. I think about even what we used to consider good Disney Plus stuff, which is like Mandalorian season 2 and like the big Luke Skywalker reveal. And then you look back at that and I'm like, well, this is just nostalgia pandering. Like that's all we got. Just want to stuff in this one scene and he's there now. I'm like, okay, now he's here. But and what are you doing with it from a story perspective? And there's not much. Like that's kind of some of the gripes that I have looking back at some of the Filoni and Favreau stuff. But we'll see. there's hopefully some good Star Wars to come. I mean, I'm not holding my breath. We just came off the 25th anniversary of 20th rather anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So it's like we got a hit of the past, and now we're seeing what Star Wars could be at its best in the modern times. But will it all come together? We'll never know. All right, from there, let's move on to Thunderbolts. We actually haven't had a chance to review it last week, but I do want to touch on it briefly. Thunderbolts, which has been rebranded as the New Avengers. I'm not sure, unless you and Samir have more historical knowledge on film, if you have ever seen this before, where a film after it releases has changed all its marketing materials and taken on a new title. But I feel like this is the first time I've seen of it. I mean, I know the closest example from my understanding was Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise Emily Blunt movie where he just keeps going back in time, or keeps reincarnating. I forgot, I didn't see the movie, but they've renamed that movie briefly to something else. Like it was a different title, like Live, Die, Repeat, and they kept it, but then the movie started flopping, and then they reversed it back to the original title. So I think that's the only other example where something that's happened before, where you change the title after a movie comes out. But let's talk about Thunderbolts. Let's see where kind of go around the people who've seen it. I'll go first. So for me, Thunderbolts, it's a bit of I would say it's a bit of a back to basic storytelling for Marvel. It feels almost phase 1/phase 2 in its style of filmmaking. I think the character writing did come first. I feel like it's not that much CGI slop. There's not much there where you're like, okay, I'm getting kind of very bored by it, or I'm getting literally like nauseated by what I'm seeing on screen, like Ant-Man 3 and the movies like that. So you're actually seeing some kind of filmmaking. I think the characters are pretty compelling. It's cut from the same cloth of like Suicide Squad, Rogue One, like these ragtag group of people who are coming together and from different shows. I do feel like it's, even if you haven't seen their Disney Plus series or wherever they all came from, it's not the end of the world, but you can still come and enjoy it. I think it's not bad overall. I think it was interesting, compelling. I wouldn't put it in top 10 Marvel. I probably wouldn't put it in top 12, but I do think it's like serviceable. And when I say serviceable, I'll give you my score already. I gave it 3 out of 5. I think it just does the job. And, maybe it's a sign of the times if I'm saying that, oh, Marvel got a 3 out of 5 movie. That's pretty good. Like, that's probably maybe a sign of the times of where we're at right now with the franchise. But that's what I gave it. In terms of the marketing thing of switching to New Avengers, it remains to be seen. The movie's not going to make that much money, honestly. It's going to make around that Captain America 4 did, which also wasn't that great. So maybe it's whether it's a sign that Marvel is slipping or it's a sign that superhero movies in general are going the way of the Western and kind of disappearing, when as their era ends. Don't know. But overall, that's kind of the gist of it. Let's see. They're gonna all these new Avengers are showing up in Doomsday. In fact, the post-credit scene of this Thunderbolts movie was directed by the Russo brothers on the set of Avengers Doomsday. So it was added in very last second. There was actually a different post-credit scene before, and they just literally on the set of Doomsday shot a quick scene and they just inserted it into the movie. So that's kind of how that was made. But 3 out of 5, nothing too great, nothing too bad. But I do appreciate when you put character writing above CGI slop. So I'll give them that big credit. Zian, I'm going to jump it back to you. What did you think about Thunderbolts / the New Avengers?
I pretty much agree with what you said. The bar is very low. Like you said, that 3.3 out of 5 is like, oh, they're kind of coming back into it, when really that's like not. It's like a very mid-tier score. But that kind of does show what Marvel has kind of become based on their last few movies and just the overabundance of just bad content on Disney Plus that they expect people to watch. But now they're realizing nobody really cares, and they have to just go back to focusing on the films as their key, like kind of event type films to bring people in and make them watch. Because right now there's so much going on for the viewer. For an average viewer, it's like, what do you watch? What do you not watch? What's required? Back in the day, it was just you hit the movies and then you know all you need to know. And then I feel like that's how it should be going forward. Will it be? I don't know. But I think Thunderbolts was kind of like you said, where you didn't necessarily have to see anything else going into this. Though for certain characters like John Walker, if you saw the Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Falcon show, it would have helped, obviously, kind of know what he's about. But everything else, like you would have known Yelena from Black Widow. You didn't have to see Hawkeye. It didn't make a difference. So things like that, it helped this film compared to something like Captain America, where even like that funny tweet from Kojima talking about Captain America is like, where are all these characters from? Like, what happened? How is he suddenly Captain America? This is such key plot that they wasted on a series instead of actually doing a movie. So I think it was refreshing to see Thunderbolts kind of separate itself from having to be so involved and just be kind of like a decent movie on its own. And in comparison to Captain America, it was infinitely better, which honestly, Captain America was a terrible movie from beginning to end. So boring and so bad, flawed from the ground up. So I think this is a somewhat of a good sign where they are focusing on more of the characters, more of a simple, not simplistic, but like grounded plot line where it's not like existential world-ending threat for every single film. It's like, all right, these people are just going through the thing, and it's just a new character with Sentry. And it's like, let's build up to something more again, rather than kind of just throw everything in one place and see if somebody likes it or not. So I think those are all kind of refreshing aspects of the movie. And the acting performances are all decent as well, surprisingly. So not too much to kind of take out of it, but it still falls into kind of like the typical Marvel style. So I wouldn't say it's like top level, like they're saying like, oh, it's top 5 MCU movies of all time based on the critical reception. I definitely don't think that's the case, but it is a decent movie, especially compared to some of the stuff we've been getting in Marvel recently. So I did also land on a 3 out of 5, but so it's decent. Hopefully this means they're kind of shifting to something like this going forward, but let's see.
You pretty much answered Robotic Uzi's question. He was like, do you suggest fans go spend their money to watch it or not? And the short answer for me is no. I don't think it's necessary to watch for the future of Marvel. It's good to see the new characters if you want to. And that's kind of the case of all Marvel movies now. It's a chef's choice. It's like, do you care about the characters enough? If you don't care, you don't have to watch it. And like you said, John, like it's about the user journey, like the audience journey. I think Kevin Feige learned the hard lesson that you cannot expect audiences to keep bouncing back and forth from TV to movie to TV to movie and keep up with everything. No one can keep up with 2-3 Disney Plus shows a year and watch 2 to 3 movies a year. Make it one series and one movie, or 2 movies and 1 series. That might be doable. And then if they don't, and make them series inconsequential. So if you want to watch it, watch it. I'll give an example. And we all like this show, so to some degree it's not that great, but we'll mention it anyways. As Daredevil, I don't consider Daredevil important. So if you care about the Avengers Doomsday storyline, you're excited about that future, you don't have to watch Daredevil. But if you're interested in Daredevil, you can watch it. Now, can we have our gripes? Like, yeah, Mayor Fisk and everyone is so focused on Muse and Daredevil when the freaking Sentry is wiping out New York City. Yes, it's a little strange. It's a little inconsistent. But you can kind of just put in like, oh, like, how it is. So it's a different scales, So that's the main issue. And unfortunately, with things like Marvel, there's always a suspension of disbelief. The more heroes, the more characters, the more movies, and unfortunately, all in New York City, so it's kind of like it's getting a little bloated, So that's the problem. So I don't know. So that's the main thing. So I don't know. Samir, New Avengers, Thunderbolts. Like, what do you think about that title change? You think it's a good marketing strategy?
I think the marketing of this movie overall has been kind of funny. I mean, we've talked about it before that it's kind of a hint of desperation for Marvel with this one, that they see the Marvel fatigue and how people are enjoying more indie or personal style films, and that's what they've been using for the marketing, where they were like, this is everybody that's worked on these A24 movies that's going to make basically the most indie Marvel movie, when it's like the furthest thing from an indie movie. So everything they've been doing for the marketing has just been to pull these audiences back in to their Marvel formula. And I guess it kind of worked a little bit. I think at first I didn't understand why they would be so confident in these characters, but I think they're charming enough to do the job to get Marvel fans back in. And the reviews are pretty good. I also like Louis Pullman as Sentry. I think he was a pretty good cast. But I wouldn't say it's at all like an indie movie like that way. Like, don't go in thinking this is going to be an A24 movie. This is straight Marvel. But the marketing, I've never seen this name change thing happen. It hasn't changed anywhere on like Letterboxd or anything, so I don't know what the real name is for this movie. Kind of confusing, but I feel like it kind of blew over pretty quickly.
Yeah. One could say if they just started off by just saying this is the New Avengers movie, maybe more people would be interested, but they wanted to kind of save it for that last hit where Elaine is talking to them. But yeah. I forgot her name. What did I say? She's Elaine. She still reminds me of Elaine in the movie, but I don't know. We'll see about Marvel. It's the fraud meter is still out. Like, I'm not 100% sure about it. But speaking of fraud meter, let's talk about the Superman trailer and discuss kind of like what we thought about that overall thing. Samir, I'll let you go first and just give your thoughts because I'm biased. So you can go first.
For me, the new Superman trailer, it really just showed everything I already knew about the film. That for me, it looks really really bad visually. Um, the obviously the Flash cinematographer is working on this film, which is kind of, I don't know what to think about that, because the Flash movie looks pretty terrible, but they've done work that is also pretty good. I just don't understand why it isn't translating to this new Superman film. But I remember watching the Flash in theaters and thinking it didn't look as bad on screen as I remember looking in trailers. So I'm kind of hoping that when the Superman movie comes out, that it's not going to look as bad as it does visually. But from a writing stance, uh, I think this is what I would have expected from a James Gunn Superman movie. I think he's trying to stay to the basics of Superman enough for it to work for me. But again, just the look of it always throws me off. Just the cheap looking suit and all the side characters and the kind of TV actors. It just doesn't feel like they're as committed as they should be, or they're as committed as they can be financially, you know. So I think I'm going to give it a chance. I'm pretty pessimistic about it. There are a few scenes that I think look pretty good, but overall, I think it's not going to be a hit.
Yeah, I mean, for Superman, it's one of those things where, again, he's my favorite. He's my favorite character in fiction. I have a lot of writing on kind of a Superman movie doing well, and because if it doesn't do well, the studio will learn all the wrong lessons and probably fridge the character for the next 20, 30 years. So I'm a little like nervous about that. From the beginning, we've been talking about it for years. I was not 100% bought in on James Gunn being the person who can lead the next Superman movie. In fact, when we were discussing on every single podcast which director we want to take on Superman, we were throwing names like Christopher McQuarrie, who directed just a new Mission Impossible movie. We were discussing J.J. Abrams. We were discussing a lot of names were being thrown out there to kind of take on Superman. And James Gunn was one of those names, but it wasn't any of our first choices. So now it's like none of our first choices, but we're still having to kind of now deal with it. So now the reality is, what are the strengths of James Gunn? He's a good character writer, and he does good emotional beats. How much of that will translate to this? I don't know. But at the same time, there's Peacemaker, the Suicide Squad, which are movies and TV shows that none of us really like, and we're not into that. You know, like Peacemaker, I didn't even watch like some of it. I didn't finish it. You know, couldn't get through it. So that's the problem. So that's the main thing. So when I'm walking to Superman, I agree with you, Samir, in the sense that the cinematography does look pretty bad. I think that cinematographer's worked on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and he's done the Suicide Squad, and he's done obviously the Flash. But for some reason, he's only making this movie look like the Flash, and a lot of blue tones. It's like overly blue toned and very cool. Like everything's very cool colors. I feel like for Superman, it's fine that it looks bright and optimistic, but maybe just change the saturation a bit. But again, I don't want to be like, I'm gonna, co-pilot the cinematographer who has years of more experience than me. It's just from a visual standpoint, a shot like this could look way better if it was just not this tone, And in terms of the suit, we can discuss, it looks a little baggy and looks not completely clean yet. I don't even 100% have I think it's fine with it. I feel like some scenes like him sitting and talking to Lois, I feel like that's not a bad overall look for Clark. It's just one of those things where we got to see what comes forward. So I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot to discuss about Superman, which we'll get into as we get closer to release. But I think overall, I think this trailer, I'm not sure how many general audiences will look at it and be like, yeah, I'm not convinced to go see it, especially over Fantastic Four or Jurassic World, which are all coming out the exact same month. So there's a lot of options on the table for consumers, and I'm not sure they're going to jump for Superman first, and that's coming as a Superman fan, but it is what it is. Like, nothing can be done. Yeah, so. All right, so let's move on to Accountant 2. Let's discuss a couple of films that we didn't get a chance to cover over the last month or so. So we'll hit two of them really quick, and then we'll kind of get out of here. Accountant 2, let's start it. This is the latest Ben Affleck movie. The first movie, which I'll just preface this, I haven't seen the film yet, and maybe I will catch it at some point, but I want to preface that it's very unique for a movie that it didn't do amazing numbers. It was a solid movie, but it came out a decade ago, and then for randomly just to drop another sequel kind of out of nowhere, I'm like, I wonder what the reasoning was for it, but I don't know. But Xiang, I think you liked the first movie. I was okay with the first movie. I know Samir didn't like the first movie. I was kind of okay on it. I think I gave it 3.5 or 4. But what as someone who I think liked the first movie, what did you think of the second one?
the first movie was actually decent and it was an interesting kind of unique story and it had more of kind of like a spy / thriller aspect to it. But the one thing I can confirm is that there's no reason to expect a third account movie to come out based on the second one because it was just a terrible movie, honestly. It wasn't terrible, but it was bad. It was a bad movie, unfortunately, and they kind of stepped completely away from the kind of spy thriller action to like buddy comedy action instead. And it was okay for some of the scenes, but they tried to do this kind of mystery story type thing, which completely fell flat because it was just based on random new characters that you really have no reason to care about. And it's just like, oh, the accountant is kind of just around doing his thing, like, oh, we got to get the accountant, It was kind of like that kind of very cheesy type, very stereotypical cliche type thing where, oh, we need the accountant to solve the mystery or whatever. So I think as a story, it was just so thin and so weak. But the one good thing I would say about the film was the on-screen chemistry between Ben Affleck and John Bertholt's characters, who are brothers in the story. I think that kind of carried it. Even the comedic aspects of that were actually kind of funny and kind of brought humor to the film in not like a dumb way. It was actually kind of enjoyable to watch their chemistry in the action and the dialogue and just through the movie. And I think that was kind of like the one highlight of the movie. Otherwise, it's pretty weak plot, and it was just about like I don't know why this film came out. It's unclear. Like you said, it's such a big gap between the first and the second one. But this, I'm not sure who this was marketed to, but it was just a very, very mid-tier movie. Don't go into it expecting anything good. It's just like if you have so much time to waste and it's free on Netflix, you just throw it on in the background. It's one of those type of movies. And the ending is just like, it's like Venom 1 level of walkway banter. It's like, it's that type of movie, okay? And like that's the kind of how it felt the whole time. And I'll be honest, I actually fell asleep in the middle of it and woke up afterwards after like 35, 40 minutes, and it didn't miss anything. So like that's what you take out of the movie. That's basically what it is. So I wouldn't recommend. I know you said, oh, you might catch it. I wouldn't recommend it, but I think I ended up giving it a 2 or 2.5. But it's honestly closer to 2. It wasn't that great.
You say it's a good dad movie, let's go see it, see the movie, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, dad, son, the fellas go for Memorial Day, see it,
Yeah, like the fellas go see Accountant 2. To the movie's credit, Samir, you give me a quick thoughts about like generally what you think about the franchise. The first one you didn't like it, but I think it is kind of unique to have like a film about like a high functioning, high autistic man who is like doing all these crazy things and like going and he's like using his like gifts to go wild in these different kind of like James Bond kind of things. That's kind of like on paper it seemed interesting. I'm not sure if there was 2 movies in it, but Samir, what do you think about the Accountant, the first one?
I don't know about the appeal that he's like Rain Man kind of, and he's like Rain Man and Tom Cruise or something. But I barely even remember is the first one with Anna Kendrick? Is she in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I barely remember that movie.
All I remember is that Superman. They had a Superman comic. Yeah, like that one original comic, right?
How do you remember
that? I don't know why I remember that.
Listen, they could have done a Mission Impossible type thing where it's like, oh, like his network of like special society people who like super geniuses, like they have that kind of spy network. If they like turned on him or like he had to run and kind of be on the run, something like John Wick style, that would have actually worked so well. But instead, they just played it so safe, and I think it hurt the film.
Well, there you go. 2.5 from Zion. Me and Smith have not seen it, and according to Zion's recommendation, we shouldn't. So let's move on to the next film. This is the latest Alex Garland vehicle, and it's Warfare. And personally, I've not seen it. I choose not to see it, but Samir, you have seen it. So give me your thoughts on Warfare. Review it.
I mean, just to preface, I mean, I think Grain loves Alex. I mean, Zion loves Alex Garland films. So it's been months since this has come out. Since then, I've seen tons of critics talk about how, even like credible critics, I've seen tons of people review this as being not as propaganda as it seems it would be. So I kind of went into it a little open-minded about how propaganda it would be by the end of the day. So I think it's worth looking at the director's intentions with the film, and then whether that could be considered propaganda or not. I mean, it's co-directed by one of the soldiers, Ray Mendoza, and I feel like he really takes the lead creatively. As far as Alex Garland's work on the film, I feel like he's really only there for the technical aspects of the film, like just to help this man tell his story about what happened that day. I mean, the sound design is pretty good, I think, and the technical aspects work. But I can see how his his perspective on war kind of seeps through also, because the film, it basically just takes place over one day of this guy, the director's team, uh, the how they raided some Iraqi family's house, and how they were attacked by like Iraqi resistance fighters, and just a couple of hours that they are trying to escape the house. And I feel like as far as that goes, as like an isolated vacuum situation, that's meant to be like, oh, this is anti-war because this isolated situation shows how harrowing and how dangerous it is, and how terrible it is for everyone. That war is just terrible, especially for the soldiers. And I feel like that just doesn't work all that much for me. It just didn't resonate that much for me. As far as whether it's considered propaganda or not, um, the way that Alex Garland looks at war, it was evident with Civil War also that the context doesn't really matter for him. It's just about how terrible and how harrowing the situation is in the moment. That war is terrible. But for me, watching the film, I feel like you can't look at a war as contextless as that. Like, war isn't contextless, and this film, like, this is based on a real event. And when this took place, it was like 3 years into the Iraqi war, which I feel like is not really a war that's taught to American students all that often. So by the time these events even take place, like, it's public knowledge in America that the American government has lied about why they've invaded Iraq. That tons of war crimes and like terrible torture methods that American soldiers have been using is already public knowledge. Like the Abu Ghraib prison incident already happened by this point. So I can't look at this isolated situation in a war that's been going on for 3 years already, where thousands of Iraqis are victim to. I can't look at a war where the soldiers are like the victims in the situation. Like, there's a scene where one of the soldiers is on the roof and he's like, the bad guys are surrounding us. And I'm watching it. I'm like, you're the bad guy, like, this is the bad guy. So to me, that it didn't really work. But I would say that there are very few moments where you kind of see like the Iraqi perspective. And that's kind of when that's like the only compelling parts. Like, there's a scene where the American soldiers use the Iraqi soldiers to go outside the house first to make sure that it's safe for them to come out, like basically human bomb detectors, and it doesn't work out for them. And that's like the only scene where you see the true victim aspect of it. So for me, I think people don't want to admit that they enjoy a movie that could be considered propaganda, which is why people wouldn't say it's propaganda. But like, I like Top Gun Maverick, and that doesn't mean it isn't propaganda. So at the end of the day, I just wouldn't say that this was a compelling film. I feel like it just was what you think it's going to be. It is what you think it's going to be, and it isn't any different from what Alex Garland's tried to say before. Didn't really add too much to the conversation. So at the end of the day, I think I'd give it like a 2-star, maybe 2.5 for the technical aspects of it, just like Civil War.
Yeah. That's strong analysis. And I was actually wondering, like, what you thought about it in juxtaposition to Civil War, because Civil War had the subtlety of like a jackhammer, as well as like there's now going like I actually didn't mind Civil War purely from a journalistic perspective, but as a movie, it kind of has a lot of holes in it. And then I just refused to watch this movie because one of the reasons, like, I'm not a war movie guy in that sense. Like, you can tell me till the cows come home that Hurt Locker is so good. I've seen it, didn't like it. You can tell me that this movie is good. I don't like it. I don't like these movies covering those wars because it's, like you said, Top Gun Maverick is propaganda. 90% of the Marvel and DC movies are all propaganda too. They all have like army propaganda in it. They're all like part of like the pro-US kind of stance to it. But these war movies, number one, it's too real. It's like feels like it just happened, and it kind of did. It's within in our lifetime. Like, we're the 9/11 generation, so we remember it in a different way. And then on top of that, I just know these people have no subtlety, so they're going to come in with it from a very specific angle, and that angle is not going to always do it for me. And if what you described, that all you get is that one scene where it's kind of like, here, take a look at it, how tragic is it? That, you can't tell me war what is it good for and just keep repeating it and like that's anywhere, you know. So but I don't know. So we'll see. But overall, I feel a very strong analysis by you on that, and you need to give the same score as Jan for the 2.5. So there you go. I don't know. I don't know if you want to mention, you know, who Grain is, because there's a comment about that, but I don't know. So let's get into our final topic, which is really not a topic, but a recommendation from us to the audience. It's our what to watch, the Farooqi Bros recommendations. Maybe I'll go first right away. And I'm going to recommend a film that we would have covered if it was a couple of weeks back. Kind of missed the boat on it, so I'll be just talking about it now. And that's Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. I recommend highly, if you have not seen it, to go in and enjoy it. A lot of our boys are also watching it right now and doing their first watches of Star Wars. So it's been great living vicariously through them, but also myself watching it. You know, whether I'm 11-year-old as watching it or I'm 31 watching it now, you know, the shit bangs both times. So that's kind of how I feel walking into it, because it's like there's like a storyline. It's that tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, which I don't want to talk about it like forever, but there's this element of when you know the movie's good for me, that every time I watch that movie, I'm like telling myself like, yo, Anakin, don't do it. There's so many options. Like there's like 10 different points where you can exit stage right. You can save that, you can get out of it. Even when it's too late, you can still get out of it. And he's every step of the way, you see a guy who make the wrong decision every single time, and it stabs you in the heart every single time, and you bring all your childhood feelings out, and you're like, well, wow, this is a very tragic story about this guy. And he's kind of an F up. Like he's gonna a lot of it's not. It's like, yeah, he is a victim, but he also did it to himself, and that kind of like double whammy makes the story so like intense. And then there's that final fight scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I mean, I'll be talking from bias, and probably is biased, but for me, if I was gonna make a GOAT tier of greatest fight scenes ever in cinema, I'm gonna put that up there. You know, choreography, and they spent almost months and months and months just prepping for that scene to make that happen. And when you see it in person, it's just amazing. And, you know, the Star Wars prequels, they've come through a bit of a resurgence, and that's probably because of our generation. I mean, the people, when the prequels came out in the 90s and 2000s, the people who were reviewing those movies were those who grew up with the original trilogy, who then became film critics or whatever they came to do, and they actually controlled the cultural zeitgeist of the time to discuss what the narratives were of the time. And the time was, oh my God, these movies are garbage. But the people who those movies were for were us. We were 10, 9, 5 years old, 6 years old. We're all watching it. I mean, Umar's on the stream, but he loves it so much as well. We all have these visceral memories of it. Now we are grown-ups now. Now we're in our late 20s and 30s, and now we're like controlling the narrative. So the narrative's in our hands now. And what's the result? Star Wars 3 just made $50 million on re-release. That's the most that any re-release in history ever made in cinema. So that's something to say about that. That's not to say the wrong lesson should be, oh, now we got to keep tapping the nostalgia pander for prequels, because that doesn't always work. See a majority of Obi-Wan. See what they're doing with Ahsoka. It doesn't always work to pander to the prequels either. But if you can get back to that George Lucas style of thinking and mythology and storytelling, you can get another great movie like that. Now, is it like objectively the biggest 5 out of 5 movie? No, of course there's problems in it, but it's my problems. And then because of that, I like it, you know? So, you know, I'm very like protective over this movie because it's a very big part of my childhood. So that's a big part of it. So I'm going to recommend Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. For me, you know, there's people who complain on Letterboxd. I don't know if you guys I don't know if you're into the Letterboxd like fights that happen on like Twitter, because there's a bit of a controversy with Revenge of the Sith. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but I'll give you a quick thing where because of this re-release and everyone reviewing with nostalgia, the movie had a huge influx of 5-star reviews on Letterboxd. So now suddenly it's like, I think the second highest rated Star Wars movie, and it's higher rated now, average, than even Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. It's higher rated than like most of Nolan's movies now. So it's like made a full swing because so many people saw it. Now they're like, wait a minute, this is amazing. Or they've re-reviewed it. Like you both give it 5 stars. That adds to their tally. So now people are arguing that, now like, you know, some people are like, we hate the prequels, and look what they're doing on Letterboxd, ruining it. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that. Just a very little sidebar, and I've already kind of rambled on this movie a bit. But for me, I gave it 5 stars, and I'm honest about that. Like in reality, it's like a 3.54, yeah. But I'm gonna give it 5 because from my heart, it's a 5. You know, it'll always be 5. So that's my thoughts. That's my recommendation to you guys. It's Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars.
No, that is interesting, because even my initial review, like when I first got Letterboxd and I was like loading in all the films that I've ever seen, you know, thinking back, I give Revenge of the Sith 4.5 because I found the intro to be very weak and I never cared for any of the Grievous stuff. So I was like, all right, this is a 4.5 movie. But then seeing it again in theaters as like a true adult, I was like, this is the best Star Wars movie ever. And I gave it a 5 on like the rewatch log on Letterboxd. So then that also tallies it up. So people maybe who initially wrote re-reviewing it again, they might have been like me and also bumped it up to what compared to what they originally had. So it's like so many ways that I can see why this would be kind of just pushed up, whether it's nostalgia, whether it is actually a really good Star Wars movie, in my opinion. Obviously, nostalgia included, it's my favorite one. Like I'm sure Shraz and Umar and everybody agrees. But it's like I'm not surprised to see the influx of people coming in, kind of just pushing it up, because especially when you look at the current, minus Andor, when you look at the current Star Wars, including all of the sequels and everything after, it's like Revenge of the Sith, that is what Star Wars should be. That is the peak of what Star Wars was. And I think it's nice that people, first-time watchers, rewatches, they're getting to see George Lucas's true Star Wars and not Disney Star Wars. So that's an interesting point to make, that it is getting a big influence on Letterboxd. So it's actually good to see.
Yeah.
But for my review, I think Shraz already recommended this last stream or whatnot. But since I just got the opportunity to see it for its re-release in theaters, I'll also recommend Kingdom of Heaven, but specifically the director's cut. I'm not sure if Shraz notated that last time, but it's like 3 hours, 15 minutes. But my first time seeing the director's cut, first time seeing it in theaters. We saw initially as younger on like rented from a local movie store, but seeing in theaters, seeing it in the big scope and kind of in his true vision, Ridley Scott's true vision, it was just an incredible film from start to finish. Honestly, I saw so few flaws. They're so minimal that they do not bring the score down for me. And when I look at the critical reception this film got back then, it's like, I know it's like in a post 9/11 world where the propaganda was going crazy, and this movie came out in like 2005, and it portrayed Muslims, though in the times of Crusades, in such a unique way that you wouldn't have typically seen at that time, where they were shown in a respectful light and it kind of shown with somewhat accuracy of how this is how the Muslims operated and dealt with King Baldwin and the other people, and kind of their dynamics in terms of kind of what they're doing in surrounding Jerusalem, kind of who controls and who doesn't. And I think it was shown in such a terrific way from both sides, where you see the ups and downs of kind of what their mentality is, what they're thinking. And there's no question that was primarily the reason why Chris definitely like shit on it back then, because they did not know what they're talking about. This is easily top 2-3 Ridley Scott movie. If you put like Gladiator, Alien, and Kingdom of Heaven, that is the way to go. I think that's fair. But I think this is just an incredible movie from start to finish. This cast is so stacked. I forgot it was even that many amazing actors in the film. And I think it was just done so well in every single aspect. This is just an incredible film. And even now when I compared it to watching Gladiator 2 recently, and it's like, he doesn't have that anymore. Like that style, that visual language that he just created, this kind of old world. I know Gladiator is in fantasy, but it's still rooted in kind of like that old time Rome. And this is old time Crusades. It was just done so incredibly well with like 90% practical effects. And it just showed so well on the screen compared to the movies that come out today that it's just top level. And I think must watch. Unfortunately, it's gone now from theaters, but if you had a chance to see it, you're one of the lucky ones. But if you haven't, this is a Ridley Scott must watch for sure.
Yeah, Ridley Scott, he's one of the goats for me. He's always been one of my favorite directors. And I really watch in the cast is so stacked. It's not even to the Hollywood cast, but I was watching this movie just last year with my wife Fatma, and we were kind of going through it, and she even noticed, she recognized the actor who played Salahuddin, and like he's one of the biggest actors ever in like the Arab world, and like played some of the biggest characters in for Arab films. Like they got him, like he's like the goat of that genre to come and do this thing. So definitely one of the best films, and I love the director's cut as well. So it's a good watch. And really, Scott, I don't blame him. He's old now. He's almost close to hitting 90 before he's 80 something, right? So if he doesn't have a lot of his technical skills that he had in his 60s, then I would be okay with it. Yeah. But we have a cameo, because I'm going to pause before I go to Samir to discuss Revenge of the Sith, because back from a special cameo from an old Farooqi Bros lore, it's Umar. He's back. Mr. Umar, what are your thoughts on Revenge of the Sith? They just came back for its 20th anniversary.
It's the GOAT. I mean, what else is there to say? It's the GOAT. Everything about it is perfect.
But what are the
I
kind of
like,
feelings you had coming back? You think about it, you were what, 6 years old? No, you were
yeah.
7 years old when Revenge of the Sith came out, 7 or 8, if I'm getting my math correctly. So seeing it as a 7-year-old versus seeing it 20 years later, I mean, what kind of emotions are coming by you?
Obviously super nostalgic, and we went to watch it. Me and Samir and his little brother went to watch it in 4DX. So obviously, like by the way, this is the first time I ever watched anything in 4DX. So the movement with the movie was like kind of took me out in some ways. Like it was too much moving happening. But in terms of the movie itself, it was better than I remember. But I can't lie, there's parts of it. For some reason, there's parts of it that were really funny to me. So me and Samir's brother kept laughing. It's very bad because Samir hated us for it. Um, but everything that we love about it was even better. Uh, Me and Samir actually know how to do the choreography of the last fight. So to watch it with him now, older, and see them go crazy on the screen, was amazing. And I think it's the GOAT, man. I think it's the GOAT. Like when you take everything into account, I think it's the best Star Wars movie that we've ever gotten. Um, that didn't change. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I mean, I remember us. We were actually traveling to Pakistan, like for one of our uncle's weddings. I'll give a little deep cut. And myself, Zayan, and Umar, we were there, and this is like we're talking about like Pakistan 2005. Like this is like the old days, like
didn't
old
didn't we
stuff.
didn't we
And
watch it like 4 weeks before the movie came out?
yeah, and then we get somehow I don't know how, but somehow we had a copy. So that copy of Revenge of the Sith, we once it was procured, we pretty much played that final sequence so many times those nights, those hot summer nights that year, and just that memory is very strong in my mind for me, Zion, and Umar. We just had that memory watching Revenge of the Sith on repeat, and then of course when we came home, we were just fighting with our toy lightsabers all day. And to this day, I think now we have not so toy lightsabers, but sitting as showpieces. But it's an important film to kind of our cultural kind of what we grew up with and kind of the parts of our personality that came through. I mean, you can make a case that if it wasn't for things like Revenge of the Sith, maybe this brand wouldn't even exist. Like things had to come, everything had to kind of have its moment to create this. So for me, going back 20 years later and seeing Revenge of the Sith, it's always like, oh, this is peak. And and to the point where I'm not even joking, I was considering buying another ticket to go again before I left. And I didn't end up doing it, but I was thinking about it to show how much I was like feeling the nostalgia pull. So definitely. But I want to go to Samir because now all three of us given our Star Wars opinion. But we haven't come to you. You're someone who was, admittedly, under 5 years old when this movie came out. So you don't have the same nostalgia, but you did watch it with whether it's through Umar or watching at home when you were pretty young, and you were in those lightsaber battles with us even as a little kid. So now you're coming in as an adult yourself. What did you think about Revenge of the Sith?
Like Umar said, the 40X thing kind of took me out of it. I wouldn't recommend 40X. I mean, I don't know if it's different, probably better in America, but the Canadian 40X, it really wasn't working for me. But the film, the prequels, I'm not that big of the prequels. I think, I mean, they're overhated for sure, but for me, I think it's all right. I don't even have that much to say about it.
Better than the sequels or not?
Of course, better than the sequels as a whole. Yeah. That's all I got. That's all I got for Star Wars, really.
Oh yeah, that's why I got.
This guy's a menace, bro.
Yeah, I will say that I personally, me and Zion chose smart to not go to 40X. We had the option available to us, but we had watched 40X before one time for Batman v Superman. It was okay, but I would never do it again. So I was like, for this movie, we watched it regular, and I think that was the better way to watch it. And then we took like you guys took Samir's younger brother. We took all of our younger cousins to watch it. It was a whole thing. So we kind of got the new generation on board, and to be prequel heads. And that's important to me, not to Samir, but it's important to me. So that's important to me that people are prequel heads. Keep
Also, Gambo's straight up lying, bro. This guy's a menace with a lightsaber. And he
I'm
does
saying
the exact moves of freaking Anakin, and he's Anakin in real life. So I don't know what this guy is acting like all cool for. Like, oh man, I don't have a lot to say. This guy was losing his mind when he was watching the actual movie. He loved it.
when
I
I see
was
this guy,
so
I
angry,
see
bro.
Samir.
I was
That's
about to
only
become
him.
Anakin when these guys were laughing so loud. Nobody's laughing in the theater. I was gonna become Anakin, I swear.
Yo, this was really him, bro.
What do you want us to do when he's saying, "Oh, love can't save you, only my new powers can"? What do you want us to do? We're gonna laugh.
Bro, this is
You
listen,
feel
you gotta
watch.
keep in mind, bro. You gotta think about it, bro. It
You
hits
Bro,
gotta think.
listen.
Listen, I agree.
The dialogue was bad.
very Shakespearean, as Charles says, you know.
Been saying, yeah, it's supposed to be ham-fisted. That's the point.
Bro's still
Listen,
trying to save the dialogue, bro.
in Umar's defense, even though I wouldn't recommend it either, there was a guy, we'll call him Weiss. He was also dying laughing. Like when Anakin was burning alive and screaming, "I hate you." This guy, he was pointing at the screen like Patrick watching the coconut fall on the guy's head on TV. He was like dying laughing.
It's true. We have a guy. His name is White.
The only person in the whole theater. He
He
was
goes
like
by
falling on
Weiss?
the floor laughing.
And he goes
For
like,
the for the record, I did not laugh at Anakin burning. I laughed at only the dumb things that they were saying.
he laughed at Anakin burning because he only recognized Star Wars through the memes, like not from a film perspective, but through the meme perspective. So for him, everything was funny. Like when he saw Mace Windu killing, going after Palpatine, all he thought was this. So this is what he was thinking, you know. So
Yeah, he was the equivalent of the people who only know Spider-Man 3 for the memes.
yeah, he's that.
That's what they went to watch and were just laughing at the memes, didn't care for the movie, you know.
So everyone,
It's Gamble's generation, bro.
but you're the one who was laughing. You were laughing in the movie too.
I wasn't laughing because of the memes. I was laughing because the dialogue was stupid.
Listen, any other franchise, I agree, but Star Wars can get away with it. They get a free pass for bad
That
dialogue.
is true, actually. That is true. Because
Free
the movie's so peak, it's so good at the end that it's okay. It's fine.
Any other franchise, if you gave those kind of dialogues that, oh, no, I love you, no, but I love you more, like those kind of like back and forth, like any other franchise would be like, what is going on? For Star Wars, it's supposed to be literally a soap opera. It's a space opera. It's supposed to be extremely corny, ham-fisted, on the nose, spoon-fed. It's not supposed to be subtle. Star Wars has never been subtle. In fact, the one it's subtle is like Andor, which just is pretty good, but the movies have never been subtle, especially when George Lucas is leading it. And the prequels are like, the best way to describe it, it's maximalist filmmaking. Everything is maximalist all the way through. And like from a design perspective, from a cinematography perspective, you know, volcanoes are erupting and two guys are just swinging at each other and like and crying and saying, you know, you're my brother. That's what we love about it. But any other franchise, it doesn't fly. But for Star Wars, it flies. And Revenge of the Sith is like peak edgy teenage melodrama. You know, like you just gotta connect from that level. You know, that's why it's so good. I don't know, but so Samir, you're the last person. What is your recommendation now? We're done with Star Wars. Final topic. Take us home. What's your recommendation for the audience to watch?
Recommendation. Since I already talked about Warfare a lot, I'm not going to recommend Warfare, but I'll recommend another movie based around the Iraq War, which is Howl's Moving Castle, which is kind of subtly, not all that subtle, but so nuanced that it kind of goes over your head that it is an anti-war film through and through, and I feel like there's just so many depictions of that anti-war theme that's done in such a creative way. Like you recommended Star Wars, and that also born out of similar circumstances around like an American war thing. So I feel like if the warfare kind of blatant anti-war thing works for you, then that's fine. But you can also tell you can also explore the similar themes in a much more creative way, and that can also work for you. So I recommend Howl's Moving Castle, 5 out of 5, like peak.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And the last statement I'll make about Star Wars and war, it's one of those my favorite like little moments that you see on the internet is someone was like, "Oh, Star Wars is not political," and then someone else replied saying that, "Well, of course it is. It's completely based on the Vietnam War. Like if George Lucas saw the Vietnam War and then clearly made Star Wars based on it, and then someone's like, that's impossible. If it was based on the Vietnam War, then America's the evil empire and the rebels are the Vietnam people." And he's like, exactly. Like what else could it possibly be except that? So that's a great way to kind of encompass it. Like all these movies are based on the whatever war is happening at the time. Star Wars is inherently very political. It's It's wars. It's just happening with pew pew lasers. That's the only difference. That's the same thing. Yeah, but Umar, I don't know if you have a recommendation, or if you want to skip that, you don't have to give a recommendation for anything. But
Bro, go watch The Electric State. Okay, amazing movie. Okay, Mr. Peanut. I think it's Mr. Peanut.
you talk about
Whatever
the
he is.
Russo Brothers movie, the latest Russo Brothers picture.
That can't be a real recommendation.
It's really not, but
But it's
just go watch it.
It is Russo Brothers, right? That's
Universal
I think it's Russo Brothers.
it is. They directed this movie. It was before he took the.
Didn't it get
Just-
0%?
Just go watch it, okay? Just go
No,
watch it. Don't think, just watch.
For that. I respect you for that, because the movie does have like 0% Rotten Tomatoes. But when have you cared? You love movies with that Rotten Tomatoes, of course. So it makes sense.
Of course, as do you.
I love BVS. What do you want to say?
Yeah, this guy loves BVS. It's got like 29%.
The Electric State has a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
So it's halfway. It's halfway there.
It's BVS.
It's halfway there.
It's halfway there. You know what? That's the
Okay,
most,
wait.
That's the most respectful.
Go watch Dark Waters. I think it's called Dark Waters.
Dark Waters.
Dark Waters, that's the Mark Ruffalo movie, right?
That is the Mark Ruffalo movie.
That has been on my watch list. I do want to watch that, yeah.
Okay, and fair play to my wife. That's her recommendation. We haven't watched it yet, but it seems good. I watched the trailer, and the trailer looks amazing.
That's the Todd Hayes movie. We met Todd Hayes a few years ago.
Yeah, I met Todd Haynes after.
I thought we did too. Weren't me and Samir there too?
No. Todd Haynes is different from the guy from the Tar director. Todd Haynes directed Portland. And I saw him after New York Film Festivals.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. So now we have 2 recommendations from Umar, because he's a cameo appearance these days.
His second recommendation was real. The first one, complete shock. I don't know what to expect that would come out. I thought he'd say Star Wars again. That was just out of the.
No,
listen.
You know what? That's old. I appreciate just going for it.
I do appreciate it.
I'm telling you, that movie was actually not bad. Like, I don't know why people hate that movie. You're gonna cry by the end. That's how good the movie was.
Because of Mr. Peanut.
Yeah, but there's other stuff happening. Did you guys watch it?
No.
Watch it, Grass. Go watch with your wife. It's a married person movie.
All right. I don't know who Grass is, but I'll let him know.
It's you, bro. There's only one Grass.
What? All right. So there you go. What did you guys think about? We'll wrap it up from there. What did you guys think about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Andor Season 2, the Superman trailer, all of our recommendations we gave? We gave a whole thing about Star Wars as well, First Revenge of the Sith. Join us in the comments, debate us. We're always happy to see the questions and comments. So, but from myself, from Zayan, from Samir, and from Umar, we're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.